Why is delegation so hard for people? Is it because people believe that no one can do it as well as them? Or is it because they're handing over control and that feels like handing over their favorite coffee mug to a toddler? In today's episode of Voices of Victory, we're going to talk about mastering the delegation framework. Sit back, relax, and grab some coffee.
Voices of Victory podcast show. Voices of Victory podcast show.
It is now time for the Voices of Victory podcast show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Di Leone.
And welcome to the Voices of Victory podcast. I am Mario Di Leone, and today we're going to have a little discussion. We're going to talk about leadership life and, of course, the external struggle of figuring out who's responsible for cleaning the break room microwave. Well, today we're going to dive into a topic that strikes fear into the hearts of leaders. And guess what? It's all about delegation. And today is the delegation framework. Yes, I used a fancy word and I don't care. I like it. Get over it. Build a bridge. Now, let's have some fun because we need to do delegation. We need to somehow manage it. And if you're convinced that everyone is going to fail, then you're not going to trust people when you do delegate to them. And guess what? If you don't trust people when you delegate, you fall into the category of micromanaging. So, let's have some fun, because if you've ever wrestled with the questions that we discussed earlier, then this episode is for you. And we're going to break down the delegation framework. Yeah, we're fancy like that. It's like a to-do list. It's going to help you. It's going to help you be more effective after that caffeine, and of course help out those colleagues who actually respond to emails on time. That would be good. So let's go ahead and discuss the ideas. The first thing we want to discuss is collaborative goal setting. Collaborative goal setting is really when you sit down with the person that you're delegating to, have a nice discussion, maybe some coffee, and we're going to define what the shared goals are, what their goals are, what the goals of the organization are. It's not just a one-person monologue. This is going to be a team effort. Think of it as just co-piling or understanding that you're reaching a consensus together. We both agree on the destination, if you will, the destination of where are we going with this? What's the objective of this? And now, with that being said, that's the very first step, is to sit down and get on the same page about what is going to be achieved as an objective. And you're going to be doing it collaborative. Collaborative goal setting means that both of you are going to be part of the process. Okay. And I know that sounds simple and mundane, but it's actually important to include them. It's like co-piloting, except everyone agrees on that very destination of where we're going, and no one decides to steal the armrest. Now, that brings us over to the next part. It's like, okay, now that we understand where we're going and what we're doing and what we wish to achieve as a goal, the next one is what processes or systems, process clarification. So you have to map out any steps, any systems, any standard operating procedures. Maybe you have to tell them about those. Everyone should know the how, the why, so no one gets lost along the way. We got the what, the how, and the why. Think of it as a GPS for your project. That's going to be important, except it doesn't yell at you when you actually miss a turn. So you want to process clarification. Make sure that all processes that need to be used, or all systems that need to be used, are clear. That the person knows which systems they're actually going to be using. And then, of course, we have skill alignment. Skill alignment is connecting to the growth of the person, the growth of the employee or team member. It's nice to match the task to the person, If you look and you take a hard assessment of your team and you find the right talent, the right interests, the right willingness, then you could take a look at some of the tasks that get into alignment with that. It's like assigning a playlist at a party, but you're putting the DJ in charge of the music, but not the snacks. Think of it that way. So skill alignment is crucial. It does reflect trust, and it also helps you understand the strengths and opportunities of people, that you want to put them where they need to go, or I should say, where they're best suited to go. And now keep in mind, you should discuss with them that. I think the most frustrating thing on the planet is when you're a leader and you're delegating and you're completely delegating the opposite of what should be delegated. In other words, the leadership has terrible awareness in regards to that employee's abilities, and they're playing that employee's abilities short. This is the mother of all screw-ups right here. When you play their abilities short, you don't recognize what they're capable of. You don't ask any questions. You don't look into any history. You don't figure out any of that. You just say, "Yeah, let me just throw them wherever I throw them." There's no fairness in that. There's no level of fairness with that. None. Zero. Zilch. Give you the Simon Cowell response. Crumple it up. Throw it away. Let it land into the sewer. Go down the sewage line and out somewhere in the unknown. Well, it's the third part of the framework is really making sure their skills are aligned. And the mother of all screw-ups with this is to align their skills to something that's like completely opposite. So the way you can understand this better is that it is nothing more than mismatched strengths. You're mismatching their strengths, which quite honestly leads to inefficiency. It's completely inefficient. An employee will excel when their strengths are leveraged. Get it? If you assign tasks outside their abilities, that can result in longer completion times, lower quality, lower output, and of course, unnecessary errors as well. Now, there is some wiggle room with that because you can match their strengths where it leads to efficiency, but you can put them a little outside of their comfort zone, but just a little bit, and maybe have a support line, something that's going to help them along the way. But the productivity actually drops because employees must spend this excessive energy compensating for the lack of skill in that area, right? So you can kind of circle the borderline of uncomfortability a little bit. You can give them something that's in their wheelhouse, that's in their strengths, but give them a little bit of something that's outside so they can grow. Maybe assist somebody with a new tasks, so they have some guidance along the way. It can create frustration and disengagement if you're not aligning their strengths to the efficient areas of things. It does become a poor use of how time is spent, how training is actually spent. It contradicts their abilities. And quite honestly, it's not going to make them feel good. That's just the bottom line. And some people will be like, "Oh, I don't care about how they feel." No, you should care about how they feel. You should understand. That's called empathy 101. And it's so important because you are wasting organizational resources. And it may require additional supervision, additional corrections, and then you're going to wind up reassigning them on something else. Trust your people, understand their strengths, understand how they can bring things to the table. You can put them a little bit outside of their comfort zone just so they grow, but you have to trust your people because you're going to increase stress and, of course, burnout. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to feel like you set them up to fail. It's not hard to understand that. It's damaging towards mental health. And you know what? It increases the likelihood of turnover. Welcome to reality. You're going to make them feel like they're not being utilized to the best of their ability when they're naturally gifted in particular areas, and you're ignoring those gifts just out of a lack of awareness. That's what happens when you don't look into the backgrounds of people, get to know people's strengths. Yes, you could always work on the opportunities. You could always put like a little tinge of opportunity in there. But people will struggle, and the results could wind up being mediocre, could be subpar, and it could really harm the organization, but most of all, make them feel terrible. It also can create negative team dynamics and a person could wind up switching out tasks at the last minute. Oh, I need you to switch with Joe over here. Why? Because Joe does that task better. We're just going to leave it up to him. Wow. Way to go. Great confidence, pal. So what should be done? First of all, leverage their strengths. Assign tasks that align with them. Encourage development. You can give them a little bit of discomfort, just a little, a smidge. Give them support. If there's skills that they need, maybe give them the time to train and learn before you decide to assign a critical task, especially in an area where they may lack some kind of expertise. And focus on complementary pairings. When you design teams, complementary pairing is powerful. And that's the thing, is some folks, some leaders, they can't even see what's complementary. Design a team where the employees' strengths to actually complement one another. So what that does, it's a balanced distribution of skills. Hello? And that's the whole point here, what we're trying to get at. So skill alignment should not be taken lightly. And that leads us over to the next delegation framework, is commitment structuring. When you sit down, you need to lay out what's happening, who's doing it, when it's due, and how it's getting done. It's a commitment, not a suggestion. So there's no vague "I'll get to it" promises, or the famous "I'll try." I'll try assumes you're going to fail. It's called make an effort. Now, it brings us over to the next segment of the delegation framework, which is regular evaluations. Check in with them. Don't be a helicopter manager. You don't need to be helicoptering over people, say, watching over them, micromanaging. Just check in once in a while. Trust people to do their job, please. You could have some reviews, progress reviews that are not micromanaging. They're just quality assurance. It's a great time to catch any "oops, I forgot" moments before they snowball. Very important. Trust people, but don't check in so much to where you're overbearing. Now, that leads us over to the last part of the framework, which is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement and gratitude. Have a level of appreciation for people. Celebrate what you've done, whether it's a high five, a thank you, an actual pizza on Friday, whatever the case may be. Just make sure you honor the team's hard work. Now, let's go ahead and summarize nice and clean. Let's break it all down, the delegation framework. So the first one is collaborative goal setting. Connect with them, work together, define the clear shared objectives. Treat it as a joint effort. 2, process clarification. Make sure the processes, the systems, the steps, the SOPs, they understand the how, they understand the why, the path forward is clear. We outline all the steps and all the systems that are necessary. The third one, which can be a major screw up for people, skill alignment. Assign the task based on talents and interests. Match people to jobs where they can excel. You can go a little bit on the edge of the discomfort zone. That's okay, just a little bit, but don't overdo it. Make sure they have support systems in place. You want to ensure efficiency and, of course, enthusiasm. Avoid robbing people of their enthusiasm. And that's so important. The next one is commitment structuring. So you're going to sit down and discuss, hey, listen, these are the roles, these are the deadlines, these are the processes that need to be used. We have to understand this clearly. I need your commitment on this. I need this commitment to be concrete. No vague promises allowed. It's that straightforward. Vagueness, no. The last one is regular evaluations. So with regular evaluations, you schedule those check-ins, avoid micromanaging, avoid helicoptering. All right. These aren't just micromanagements, just opportunities for quality assurance. That's all. Just to check up on things, make mild adjustments. And of course, the very last one is, of course, appreciation and acknowledgement. Celebrate, 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 and give people a little pizza party on Friday, please. Delegation is about trust. It's about trust, clarity, teamwork. And if you follow this framework, it's pretty easy. People can lead confidently, and you can just distribute the responsibilities and empower teams so we could all achieve everything together. So thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next episode.